Ladies and gentlemen, ATV Productions would like to welcome you to Tea Time with the Lead.
Tea time with Aladdin. In the morning, when the day arrives, tea time with Aladdin. Let's talk about what's going on. Tea time. Tea time.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is great to hear my voice again. Sorry. It is great to be back and share some beautiful new material with you. It has been a very, very long time, and it has been a very cold and long winter, but not for me. It's hot, it's sunny, and I am melting out on the beautiful island of Antigua and Barbuda, where I can't leave my apartment because I have to study all damn day. But enough of that. Let me go ahead and talk about you. I want to thank you guys for listening to the show. I've had a huge flux of listeners since my last episode, which I don't even know how long ago that was, but it was a while, maybe 2-3 weeks now. But thank you for continually to listen. Thank you for constantly sharing it with everyone else. I hope you guys keep continuing to do that, and I hope you guys keep, listening to the show because I love having you on the show. Please comment. Please share conversation with me. I love to hear your guys' perspective, your take on the things that we talk about. I like to hear your guys' opinions. I want the conversation to grow, and that's why I continue to do the show. So please contribute to the conversation because I would love to hear it. I want to give a huge shout out to all of the listeners right now. Again, in the States, it's blown up. Ohio, Michigan, Washington, Texas. Shout out to Texas. California, Florida, I already said Florida, New Jersey, Colorado, Idaho, home of the potato, Kentucky, Illinois, Louisiana, Alabama, Louisiana. You guys are cool. Got some bad blood out there, but it is what it is. And then, of course, to all the other countries out there who continue to listen, we've had France. You guys literally just keep climbing the charts of listeners. I appreciate you. You guys make me want to learn French. So hopefully I can impress you guys for continually to listen, and then I can wow you with my French. So stay tuned for that. But again, for everybody else who's been chiming in, more viewers in Canada, more listeners in Palestine, you number one, UK, Germany, everywhere else, appreciate all of you guys for constantly tuning in. And again, please continue to share with your friends and your family because, again, without you, I would not be doing this. But I have a great show for you today. I have two beautiful guests who are going to be joining me, which I can't wait for you guys to meet them. And honestly, I can't wait to meet them because you guys will find out why shortly. But I'm going to go ahead and stop there, bring them in, and get the show going. So sit back, relax, and prep yourself for a wild ride.
Are we starting now or not yet?
Yeah, now we just started.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rima Youssef. I am 25 years old. I am studying at the George Washington School of Medicine, hopefully wanting to be a pediatric oncologist. I am from Palestine and the computer doesn't like me. I'm from Palestine and Lebanon, and I lived in Dubai for 10 years. That's like a brief intro.
my friend.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Okay, so my name is Luai Giron. I live in Oregon, Eugene, Oregon. I'm half Cuban, half Brazilian, but I follow the Muslim and religion, and I am currently 26 years old. I'm about to turn 27 pretty soon in about 2 weeks.
Hey, right on.
So
Happy birthday.
yeah. So I don't know if I should be excited or not,
You
Definitely be
should.
but yeah.
excited.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm going to be 27 pretty soon, and I live in Eugene, Oregon. It's for those who do not know where Oregon is, because I haven't had conversations with other people. They do not know where it is. So technically, we're located in Washington, Seattle, Washington, and California. So for those who do not know where it is, so it's pretty cold, but right now it's pretty shiny out right there.
I know it looks like you got some sun going on, so I don't know. You putting out some lies right there, Luai. You're putting out some lies.
I love
No, but
Portland, by the way. I've been there so many times. Eugene is
You've been in Portland?
yeah, I love Portland.
Oh,
It looks
finally.
it looks like a postcard. It's gorgeous. I've
Oh.
actually been to Eugene passing from California to Portland, and oh my God, there's like a university there, Western U. I don't know if you're familiar with it,
hmm
but in Lebanon, Oregon, and like you kind of have to like pass there. I think I've interviewed there before, so it's
Wait,
like
so you've been in Oregon before? That's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
I don't feel like I don't need to explain the different the cities and everything. So that's great.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, we pretty. I mean, everything that is surrounding us here in Eugene and Portland, it's all fields, green. Oh yeah, it's a lot. For me, I'm a more of a city type of boy, so I like to live in Portland, but Eugene is not as bad. Like it's really calm, peaceful, and I really like the people that are living here. So yeah,
Yeah.
but I never been to DC. I would love to go to DC.
Oh,
That's part of my bucket list as well.
well, unfortunately, I cannot be in the Oregon Club, so thank you for making me feel left out. I also have not been to DC either. I haven't really traveled much in the last 2 years, which is very unfortunate. I don't think anybody really has. But also, traveling game has been on like a temporary halt due to school. So, gotta love the education system, right? But thank you both for joining me today on the beautiful show that is known as Tea Time with Aladdin. And and everyone, I want to let you guys know the reason I have these two beautiful people on today's show is because today we're talking about friendship, the beautiful bonds of friendship, where we all hold our hands, sit around a campfire, and we sing songs as one. But one of the things that I really like about Rima and Luai is that I have never met either of them, and it is literally just been like social media, pretty much interactions. And I really want to talk about interactions through like technology and just like our interactions and like everyday, circumstances. Because today's day and age, I feel like communication has like really gone downhill. Not necessarily saying the way we communicate with each other, but the way we, one, speak to one another as equals, two, the way we lost Rima completely just disappeared, which I hope she comes back. Let me let me
Okay.
and sorry about the technical difficulties. Internet all over the world is getting shot due to storms. If you guys are in DC, I'm sorry that you're experiencing what you are experiencing. But as I was saying, so yeah, communication has just really pretty much gone downhill. And I'm not talking about like communication as like, oh, you're an introvert, oh, you're a shy person, oh, you're an extrovert kind of thing. That's always going to take a role in communication, but there's a difference between communication via face-to-face and then there's communication over social media and all these other platforms that we have. Now, something that I've noticed, which you guys can of course comment on if you agree, but when we have conversations one-on-one, face-to-face, conversations tend to go very different compared to the way conversations go over social media. Would you guys agree to that?
Definitely.
So, oh, go ahead.
So I was saying that I feel like in person, people are definitely more. There's either like a tone of kindness or like trying to present probably like not as your best self as you would like over the internet. I think over the internet, it's very hard to also get a read for like who you're talking to or how you should act. Like I feel like it's a lot easier for me personally to talk to someone face to face because I'm like I tend to overthink things. So I'm like, oh my god, like I'll read like and then be like, oh, do they have like did they mean what they said they meant in this way, or like you can't really pick the tone of like a person, just in my opinion.
What about you, Luai? How do you feel about that?
So technically, I feel like the difference between talking to face to face different because for me, for like I speak for like because I'm a social butterfly. So when I speak to somebody face to face in person, like I get super like happy and um, I read your body language and I see like okay, so this person is like interacting real well with me, like with the conversation that I'm doing. Like it's I feel like it's better compared to when you do in social like through internet Facebook, you know, you don't really see that connection like when you experience it with real life people, you know. I mean, even though they're real life people, but you don't experience it as well. Like it's pretty different. Even though like you take pauses when you do a conversation and then you're like, okay, what's the next topic we're gonna talk about, you know? And then that's what but compared to when you're actually talking to somebody, the conversation keeps going on and on, you know?
No, I totally agree with that, and that's one of the things I feel like a lot of people don't take in account when we have these conversations, and it can be over anything. I mean, depending if you're like into politics and you talk about politics, or you can't read how somebody responds to a person. And for example, like even today, I'm on school like pretty much all the time, and it's almost all online now because of the pandemic. And I feel like in a current state that we're in, it's even harder to read how we interact with each other, especially as like students, colleagues, professionals, however you want to describe it. Sometimes people look at me and they're like, "Oh, I can't tell if you're being serious or like condescending in your messages," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry." Like, if you know if you know who I am personally, you'll be like, "This is the nicest man alive. There's no way he's like trying to like shit on my parade." So, how do you guys like feel about that kind of like context?
Well, for me, like I think that if someone is going to be talking to me personally, oh well, I feel like the tone. So for maybe, in my opinion, like I think phone calls make that a little bit better. But obviously, you're not going to be like, all the time like on the phone with people. I'm definitely a phone person. I hate texting. I'm the worst texter ever. So I'm always, oh well, I would rather do something else. But if it is a conversation of like politics, or if we are talking about something more sensitive, I think that just having two open-minded people speaking, you're communicating with in a way that would just make a world of a difference. Again, I feel like you have different friends for different purposes. Like when you're socializing with people, so I'll have a friend to vent to, and I'll have another friend that I use for another friend that I have for like medical stuff or like my homework or assignments and things like that. So that way you're creating boundaries too. I want that tone to be enforced because like oh well, this person is my vent person is kind of understood this way. So it's like it's a little.
How about you, Luai? What do you think about it?
So I'm pretty much agree with what Rima said. It's like when you talk to somebody that talks about politics, you technically have to talk to somebody that it's a little bit more of an open mind and not just see one thing one single way. Because for me, I don't usually talk about politics because if I express my point of view to somebody who's like, okay, why are you saying this about this particular party when they all they do is this, that, you know, for example. But if I with someone, he has to be like he or she has to be super nice. But normally, like I usually like to talk to some like people in person because it's like I mentioned before, the body language. You can tell if they're being a little bit more aggressive, like they don't like the way that you're talking to them. If you see that somebody is like getting a little bit, like moving from like side to side, like rolling their eyes, like looking away from what you're from you, that's practically telling you like, okay, I'm not interested into the conversation that you're doing, so let's get over with it,
Hmm.
but yeah, I usually just you know more of a body reader, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this actually is like a great point to like bring me into my first topic for today's episode is in today's day, making friends or, being able to socialize in our world is gotten super complex. And it could be because the way we interact with each other is perception than it is actually speaking with each other. So perception takes like a huge toll. So with this, do you guys feel like thinking about how we were when we were younger? I mean, we're all in pretty much similar age group. We're in our mid 20s. So making friends back then was super easy because we were constantly around people all the time, and we were at school. That was that. Nowadays we all have our own individual like past, whether it be through work, whether it be through school, and again our current situation, pandemic. And one of the things I loved about you two is that we've never met each other, so like that's another reason why I have these lovely people with me on the show today, is that we are all friends through outside sources and we've never met each other. So today I want to know how you guys view acquiring friendships, whether you guys choose to actually go out that way and make new friends, or are you guys more along the lines of like, I don't need no more friends, but essentially, I mean, people are like that, but curious question though is, do you guys feel that making friends today is easier with the different platforms that we have, or do you feel that it's difficult because of these like small little things, nuances that we look for when we talk to people or like when we socialize, and how we choose to be around the people that we want to be around?
I think like this is a great, because I'm so like on. I feel like I have different opinions for the same concept, which is like kind of stupid. For me personally, like I have always had making friends when I was younger, which is contrary to like what people think. Like I think for me, I was it's like I think maybe I was very different for me. Like my me from the U.S. was, and it was just like here, whole new culture. Here's Arabs, speak Arabic. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so weird, So I think it was a lot harder for me to adapt when I was younger. I was very like, so I was like, okay, well, whoever likes me, whoever can talk to me and like understand me and like, and then as I got older, I've moved a lot, so I think it's gotten easier.
All right, so Rima, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So, like I was saying, okay, I only see Luai right now. Luai.
Oh, you don't see me?
No.
It's because I'm ugly. Hold
I didn't say that.
on.
Okay, Alex. Just let me know when I can back to my very important point before I was rudely interrupted.
I'm so sorry.
Just kidding.
Yeah, so like I was saying, I moved around a lot. It was very hard for me to get used to just constantly meeting new people and stuff like that. So I felt like for me personally, it was a lot easier to make friends growing up because I was like, oh, okay, well, this is like, especially when people are like kind of in the same path as you, like, oh, I want to go to medical school, I want to be a doctor, you know? So it's like kind of like it can either go really, it's like a double-edged sword. It's either you're gonna have really competitive friends, or you're gonna have people who are actually gonna like help you out and like talk to you about things and stuff.
Agreed.
Yeah, so it's not as cutthroat as I thought it would be. Definitely there are some people you don't want to talk to, but then like obviously there's some people. It's
No
lovely,
one's gonna judge
lovely.
you.
Yeah, don't watch this. I'm just kidding. So, yeah. So for me, growing up, harder. I got older, and then it was easier. And what was the question though again? Like there was something else about that you asked.
Oh, yes,
Making
some people-
friends, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so as an adult, it's so much harder for me, I think, to make like now. Like I think like when I was an undergrad, it was a lot easier, and then like I've actually like made most of my friends on social media from Arab Scope, or like
Shout out to Horoscope.
there was this like Syrian page that followed me, and I was really flattered because I wasn't Syrian, and they're just like, oh, Syrians in the US, shouting them out now for Instagram. And it's like all these like different people like started following me from there, and I was like, oh, that's so nice. Like, you know what I mean? Like people like trying to like find who's in their area so that they can communicate with them and like talk to them. So I feel like social media is so critical now in like terms of like making friends, which is
Interesting. Okay.
kind of bad
I
and good.
Okay, we'll come back. I'm gonna come back to that one. What about you,
Yeah.
Eli? How do you feel about it?
Well, technically, well, I believe that things have changed because when I was in high school, making friends was a little bit tougher because when you're in high school, people are more preoccupied and like, oh, I need to be like popular between the popular kids, you know. So it's kind of hard for one person to get into that group, you know. So like I say, everything in high school it has to be like popular. It has to be like in the geek squad, or you have to be like super smart to be in like in this type of group, you know. So it's really hard to make friends when you were in high school, but as a kid, it's even more tougher, you know. But when you're starting to growing up, things seems a little bit different, and they get a little bit easier for you to make friends. Um, but yeah, like because you social media comes in, and it's easy for you to like talk to the person on the other side of the screen, say, hey, like, oh, my name is this so and so, you know, like I'm trying to like establish some new friendship through people, you know. But it is like back to the question. It's now that you're an adult, it's even. I feel like it's harder because you see all these people like for example, single moms. Like when I'm at work, there's one of my coworkers. She's a single mom, and it's really hard for me to like establish a good conversation with her because you're trying to talk to about a specific topic, and then she's like, "Oh, but have you ever experienced what it's like to be a single mom or anything?" You know. So it's really hard because there's different categories like single mom, single parents, you know. But yeah, I feel like as an adult, it's kind of hard to make friends compared to when you were a kid. But yeah, I feel like it's harder now than before. Social media kind of makes it easier, but because you know, like when you go into Facebook and you start chatting with people, and it's easier on social media, to be honest. Like nowadays, it's easier on social media now.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've always noticed, or at least observed as like time goes on, is look about like let's take it like a huge leap back to early 2000s, right? So let's just go ahead and say 2008, 2009. I was in middle school, transitioning to high school, right? Did you guys use social media back then? Like, what was your main platforms of social? Right. Okay. So Luai did not use any. Rima, what about you?
I was on Hotmail MSN.
Damn, Hotmail.
You know,
So many weird friends that I never met in real life. So I had a really strict upbringing. My dad was like, you can't go out, you can't, like, you're not allowed, like, you're supposed to be studying all the time. Like, he was just very protective. So it's like, no boys, no talking to boys. Like, even till now, I'm 25, and it's like, you know, it's such a thing. He's so I told you Falahi, which means like very traditional Palestinian Arab Middle Eastern father.
The best Middle Eastern people.
So yeah, I guess it depends on who you ask. But yeah, so he was like, so most of my time was like usually on the internet, and I had a lot of like friends from, there was like Barbie Girl World. I used to be like a prime member at Club Penguin.
Hell yeah, Club Penguin.
That was the things that I was doing when that was my socializing. And then, so yeah, that was what I was doing.
I think that's another great perspective to put out there. Social media back then, when you're younger, is a completely different world to social media to today. And that's where like this idea of communication and like how we associate with one another has just, to me, just drastically changed. You go from, again, early 2000s where, yes, Club Penguin, RuneScape, if, you know, for all my nerds out there. I mean, for those of you who still play, you know, WoW, I know you're out there and you're all weird, and I still love you. My best friend plays WoW. But, you have, like, Neopets. You had Trolls websites. There were so many different websites that you had. But then they all essentially, like, faded away. And, you know, as you transition to adulthood, you had Facebook, you have Instagram, Snapchat, all these different things. And what's great is that we utilize those as tools to, when we're not around these people that we normally associate with 24/7, we can continue staying connected with these people outside of our one-on-one circles. But then I feel like this is where it's also impacted it in a negative way, because you can look at that and be like, okay, this is awesome. I can connect from people from, you know, with you two, like Oregon, out in DC, you know, even like out in the Middle East. And for everyone who listens to the show, I mean, like, we're all in different places, whether they're listeners, whether they comment, or however you know, we interact with each other. But then there's those exceptions where sometimes the associations or relationships that we get aren't always the best relationships. Or sometimes it makes the relationships that we have seem, what's the word? Not authentic isn't the word, but simulated. Mm-hmm. It's like a friendship is simulated. It's kind of like what Luai said earlier. You can't read each other's body language. You can't tell how this, you know, the connection. So it's really difficult. But I want to go back and segue back to like what Luai was saying with, as you age, you know, you were saying how you can't connect with a woman, like a single mother, for example. Or like, you know, I've, you know, in the workforce, you know, depending on your job, we always meet different people. So do you guys find it harder to find people that match your interest? Or is it just the fact that because we work in like such hugely open environments that, you know, you have a mix of people that you can't really find that, like, you know, and it's growing up, it's different because, you know, we're all trying to figure out what we want to do. So like what Rima was saying, you can find people who are interested in medicine, or you can find somebody who's interested in history, you know, that kind of thing. But once you're at a certain point, so like, you know, we're both in medical school. Luai, what do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
I work as a procedure scheduler at the hospital, at the cardiology department.
Okay, oh, right on. So yeah, so we're all in like the medical field, like the medical environment. So like we mix with a bunch of different people. But do you guys find it also difficult to find, because like imagine Luai, I'm sure she only wants to be friends with other like single mothers or, you know, people who have kids so they can interact with each other. Or like Rima, I'm sure the bulk of the people that you hang out with are either other medical students or your immediate friends or relatives. So do you guys find it more challenging to find people who are only interested to the interests that you are interested in? That is like an oxymoron, but do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I want people who have different interests than me, though, to surround me. Because I feel like if I'm going to be talking about medicine with people all day, I'm probably going to just die because it's just too
Agreed.
much. I feel like it takes up so much of my time in general that I would rather like have someone talk to me about film or production, or because I love movies also. I feel like there's like someone was telling me how like the process of like how green screens work, and I was like flabbergasted. I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like they're not actually doing that in the movie, and that's just very oddly enough that was a recent conversation. I'm really embarrassed about it, but like
Everything
they're
green screen.
stuntmen, like people that look exactly like them that are jumping off the buildings. Okay, that's awesome. So I feel like learning something like new from other people has just always been something that I'm more interested in. So they don't have to necessarily have the same interest as me, as long as there's the main things I think is the foundation of like being able to have good communication, understanding, patience, especially with my schedule. I hate feeling like I'm prioritizing my schedule over other people who have less, like more time to do things than I do. So I feel like that's something that is like more important than just common interest.
Okay, I can respect that. What about you, Luai?
So I feel pretty much the same way. It's just that it all depends on the person, like if like for example, like I mentioned, like the single mom, So you talking to this person and then suddenly she's like, okay, so I can't really talk about you about having a baby or anything because you can't you don't know what it feels like. But then like I say, it all depends on the person because they try to establish a conversation with you even though it's not related to one single thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like for example, like it's really hard for me sometimes to understand when I talk to my coworkers, like the medical assistants in the hospital. They're talking about procedures and like everything that it has to be done before, and I'm like, okay, so I don't really understand any of that. I only understand that I had to schedule that procedure, make sure that they're like fasting when they do it in the lab. So, it's all about that. Like
Yeah.
it's hard, but it's sometimes like I mentioned before, like, and I keep repeating, it all depends on the person. Like if you, yeah, it all depends on the person because I feel like some people they do try to to get you to be part of their conversation, even though they're talking about a whole different thing, but they're trying to get you into it.
Yeah, I get that. And I'm going to go ahead and try to transition to our next topic off of that alone. And I want to go ahead and ask the listeners, do you guys find that it's harder to make friends as an adult compared to as it was when we were younger, in our prime? Well, it depends on what you claim as your prime. But I just want to know, do you guys feel like it's easier now as, you age to make, those relationships, or was it easier back in the day? So, on to our next conversation topic, which pretty much goes on something we've already touched on, is interactions between over technology compared to in person. Now we both, all three of us, we understand the difference in like body language and how we communicate and how we read people and how those are all detrimental like aspects to consider when communicating and making friends. But do you guys think that it's necessary? Like, do you feel that how we interact with other people is affected by technology?
Hmm. How we
It's
interact
another
with people. Yeah.
So do you feel that? Let's see. How can I phrase this in a more like a simple like way? Is okay. You just met someone outside, right? Are you going to start talking to that random person? All right, better yet, Rima, we were talking about this before we started recording. Rima, you like to go to
Hmm.
Starbucks. Would you just randomly start a conversation with somebody in Starbucks?
The times that I go to Starbucks is when I'm really stressed out. So really, I
If she
no,
talks to someone, she's
actually,
punching them.
someone tried to talk to me when because I think he could because I said my name, and normally I've started using Reina instead of Rima because people just get super confused with it's just four letters, but I just when you do, every time my name is Rima, Rima, so it's just every time it's just so I felt like Reina was easier. So someone overheard my name being Arabic, and I think he was Egyptian, and so he was like, "Oh, like you're Arab," and I was like, "Yeah, I am," and I was just not in the mood to talk at that point. So because I just had so much going on. So no, normally at Starbucks it's not the best time, but normally I'm a very approachable person. Like in general, I feel like if someone like wants directions on the train or like because I use the subway usually to get
Yeah.
to school. Parking is terrible in DC. Just don't even get a car. It's not even worth it.
Not
So
even
yeah,
worth it.
it really depends. It really depends on when. So I feel like it's easier for me to interact with people in person if I'm in a good mood.
Okay, so you're one of those. All right, Luai, what about you? Do you feel that if you were to go out and you just wanted to spark a random conversation with someone, you could easily do it face to face?
To be honest, as I mentioned, yes. For me, it's a little bit easier because I'm a social butterfly. So whenever I go like into crowds, like especially if I go to because most of the time I have to go with my friends because they love karaoke. So I go to
Oh,
karaoke with
me
them, and then
too.
suddenly people start coming, like coming in because they want to hear the person that is singing.
Hmm.
I don't usually like, okay, you're invading my bubble, like I go ahead and say, hey, how you doing, like how's how you like
Oh.
the song, like is there like can you sing along or something? So I start laughing, but I start laughing because I get nervous around the person because I was like, I don't know if that person's gonna is gonna feel the same vibe that I am feeling, and
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna try to follow the conversation or not. But that's what it usually is. Like I start talking to random people, even though I don't even know them. But that's what it is. That's what the place is for. Like you get to know people, you get to know what their interests are. So so yeah, like for me, it's, nowadays it's a little bit easier because I learned from what I did in high school and then all this time until now. I was like, okay, so this is what I did wrong in high school. Maybe I can try it and change it and like try to campaign, like try to get into the to people's little space bubble, even though they're you don't know how they're gonna approach to you,
Yeah.
but you're just trying to like, hey, right there, I'm right here. So yeah, and one thing that I learned is because when I was in college, like in my very first year of college, I decided to be I volunteer to assist people, international students, with their assignments, English assignments, because they were choosing English as second language. So I was there to help them out. So it kind of helps me to get out of my bubble and start like exploring new things, like, oh, like this is what the culture of Asia is. This is what the cultural um from the Middle East is. Like that's what helped me a lot. Like once I start doing like assisting international students with their assignments, it's what kind of like helped me be more social with people. Because trust me, when I was in high school, all the way when I graduated from high school, I was not really much of a talker. I was not much of a chatting. But then once I start doing all this, it's when I'm like, okay, this is what I feel, and I'm gonna start talking to people from now on.
Yeah.
Like I said, yeah.
Okay, and I respect that from both your guys' perspectives, which is I like the way like why I like what you're saying about like the whole learn what you did from back then and apply it to like today, and then, well, I totally sympathize with you, Remo. Some days you just don't want to talk to anybody, and sometimes you just want to be the most social person in the world. So let's compare those interactions, and same question. Let's go on a digital platform, right? So, Rima, do you feel that it's easier, you would be more willing to have that same conversation that you just completely avoided a second ago in person, but you would be more open to doing it online? Or like, let's just say he were to be like, oh, do you have an Instagram? Do you have a Facebook? You guys add each other on Facebook. Would you at some point have a smoother conversation with that person over said platform?
I think so because you can get a message in a moment of time and be like in a very complete headspace, a different headspace. So I feel like because when you give yourself enough time, like, you know what, I'm not going to answer right now, I'll probably answer in an hour or two and I'm done studying histology or whatever,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like you're rested now, you feel better. You're like, okay, well, I'm done with my Anki cards for today. So maybe I can respond. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like I feel like I'd be more willing to have that conversation, as selfish as it sounds, like on my own time. But it's also on his time because he can respond whenever he feels like he's ready to respond.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a conversation that you have to have then and there.
Totally get that. And I think, and that aspect, it makes sense because say you were just trying to go get coffee quick in and out because you had somewhere to go. So it's different circumstances. And then,
Yeah.
Luai, same question to you. Do you feel that any other time, like say you, again, you see a friend that you work with and it's on social media, do you feel that if you were to have a conversation through like a social platform that it's easier for you to maintain a certain dialogue over that compared to an in-person kind of thing? Because again, busy wise.
So I feel that it could be not the same because if you know that person from work and then suddenly like that there's like chemistry and during the work area because you guys see each other, you talk
Right.
about things, random things, but on social media if you're talking to that same person, I feel like it's a lot different because the conversation may or may not be the same. Because you pretty much everything that you talk about at work, you you don't want to like go back to the same topic and start telling them, okay, so what do you think about this now? It's not the same. And if it's for like a random person, like a total stranger, like he or she can text me, send me a message through Facebook or Snapchat. You're just like, okay, so I don't really know you, but I'm an open mind person, so let's go and see where these things go. But if
Yeah.
I see that your topics or the conversation that you're making is not appropriate for me, I was like, okay, this is it. And then I start talking to that person. So yeah,
No, I
I
respect
mean, I
that.
can be really. I mean, if I don't like you on social media, that's it. I'm done.
It's over.
Even if that person keeps sending me messages, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. See, one of the reasons why I like asking this question, and I love asking this to anybody, because I love, person to person interaction just because not only can you have conversations and you can like, interact with the person, but you can actually go out and do something outside, and then the conversation that you have, you can grow it into like a different direction and like actually explore different avenues either of interest or similarities between you and whoever else you're with, compared to when you're online in this this digital world that we're so massively like surrounded by today. It kind of puts you at this, how it kind of gives you like a boundary. If you met one person, like say in passing, and then you add each other on Facebook or Instagram, however, and then you guys talk to each other, the conversation can only go as far as each person wants it to go. One person, as in a situation like Rima mentioned, could want to have a conversation, and then the other person is probably different, different things going on. So I feel that when I always look at like the way technology affects our interactions, it can be beneficial in so many ways, whether it be expanding friendships outside of your immediate circle and going outside into different avenues of like new people, but it could also limit on how effective we can be in forming certain friendships and conversations, because there's times where I've talked to people, new people, our conversations were like wicked amazing for like a week, and then we hit like that wall of like what else is there to talk about, and then it just stops conversation. Then we just move on to the next topic, compared to if it's somebody that I have spoken to for I don't know how long now, and then we're like, hey, let's go out and do this. Then we go out, and then we just constantly continue that cycle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So do you guys feel like there's a limit to communication through technology, or do you feel like there's only a limit if you let there be a limit?
Yeah, definitely. Only a limit if you let there be. I feel like I've seen best friends who've become best friends just like by using there's this app called Bumble BFF. So it's not the dating version of it, but it's like friends, like just really because of the pandemic, people have been going online a lot. And they've just, okay, they talk and whatever, and then they figure out, okay, well now let's like go out. So it's like, okay, here we're gonna go out this week, and then oh sorry, I'm busy this week. But if you want to keep it going, it just has to be from two parties have to be just as it's a give and take situation. I feel like if one person is way too eager, it kind of like, both just they just have to mesh, the personalities just have to mesh.
I feel that. Luai, how do you feel?
I feel like there is some limits in there, because if you like Rima said, there are certain topics that you just don't want to cross line with. So if you're suddenly start talking about like, oh, like I don't know, like things could jump in, like from the weather. Say, oh, the weather is super nice. How do you think about it? Like, if you go snowboarding, you go skiing or something, and then suddenly that conversation jump into politics, like something that you don't feel comfortable in talking about, then the atmosphere and the conversation can change. So you kind of like limit yourself on like, okay, I don't want to say something that could disrespect that person or their beliefs. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm starting backing up a little bit, and little by little trying to change the subject. But in some other occasions, it doesn't always go well, because that person can tell. It's like, okay, so I can tell that you don't feel comfortable. So if you don't feel comfortable in talking about this particular topic, then I just don't feel like we could, establish a good friendship. So yeah.
I have something to add actually. Is it easier for girls? I feel like it's easier for girls to make friends than it is for guys, but I'm not sure. But like girls will just be like, "Oh my God, I love your hair. I love your makeup. Like I love your outfit," and it's just suddenly, "Oh my God, she's my ride or die now." Like
Right.
just
Wait,
it's
I think you're right though, because you girls have a lot of like different things to talk about. Like you say, like, oh, I dye my hair. Oh no, can you
oh
exactly, like if you're wearing a new mascara, it's like, oh my God, I think this mascara looks bad on me. That's it really makes me feel like super tired. Like you girls have way like the conversation that you can talk like compared to guys, compared to you girls, like our conversation is like this, but you guys can go like spend it and
yeah.
try
I just
this.
feel like we're so much more sensitive with each other. It's like one time I remember telling my guy friend, I was like, when you guys sleep over, like, do you guys sleep like, because girls, I don't know, it's like, it's so normal for girls to like share the bed, right? Like when we sleep over. And they're like, oh my God, no, we don't sleep with our friend in the same bed. And I was like, what? That's not like you guys are not close like that. You know what I mean? But it's just, it's like
I
different.
think it's easier when you were just a kid, because as a kid you're so innocent, you don't even know what's going on. So you can be sleeping in the same bed or in the same like floor. But
Yeah.
when you're growing up, you're like, okay, this is totally weird. I do not want to sleep next to you. Yeah, I do get it though, because when I was just a kid,
Mhm.
I lived in elementary school. I used to do a lot of sleepovers with my friends, especially with my schoolmates. I do that, and now that we're all grown up and we see each other, You're just like, you don't remember those sleepovers? I was like, yeah. They go, dude, that is so wrong. I'm like,
Oh my god, no, it's just like it's so different, I guess.
it is
See,
different,
for
though. It
me, I
is.
feel like so like I unfortunately never had the sleepover opportunity because shout out to the foreign Arab life and my mother
Mhm.
depriving me of my childhood. My mom listens to this, so when you hear this, I hope you know you deprived me. However, aside from that, it's funny that you guys to hear both your perspectives is super funny because I would say I have a little bit of both because when I like to do outrageous things that make people look at me and be like, this guy is a weirdo. However, I love doing it because it always. So one time, let me put you in this scenario.
Mhm.
I was working at the hospital. I was a transporter, and I one day was shaving my face, and I was like, I'm gonna rock a mustache. At first, it started as a joke. I wanted to look like Tom Selleck, and for all
Mhm.
the listeners and watchers, I'm definitely gonna post a picture of my mustache for you. I get a nice review between 80s porn star, Freddie Mercury, and Borat. So you guys will get to enjoy that. So my pleasure. But no, so guys would come up to me and be like, guys I've never spoke to, would be like, nice stash. I'm like, so it's funny. Like so in Rima's situation, I totally have situations like that where I'm like always finding. So it really depends on because like when it comes to like sports. I love watching sports, but like, do I watch sports regularly, like ESPN, like everyone else does? Hell to the no. When it comes to
Mhm.
like video games, though, man, I can have a crazy conversation with some dudes, random stuff. I once me and my friend went to Meyer, and I had a random conversation with the dude because he overheard me talking about video games, and literally, afterwards, I want to be like, dog, give me a hug. We're like best friends.
Aw.
But
Yeah, that's
then,
how it is with us.
yeah.
Like it's like, oh my god, I love you. Thank you for compliment. Like it's so easy for girls. I don't know. Ask your viewers. I don't want them to come at me and be like,
Oh
oh
yeah,
my
no, I
god,
want.
she's crazy.
No, but it's also funny because like there's always so many different avenues. Because like there's people who are 100% like, ew, what the hell's up with her hair? And then I have guys who. So it's funny, Luai, when you're talking about that, like, like me and my best friend, we're always like, dog, come like lay next to me. Let's be like a sleepover.
Yeah.
Buddy. And he'll be like, so I have some friends that'll be like, get over here, big guy. And then I'll have
Mhm.
other friends who are like, don't touch me. Or they'll be like back to back because, weirdos. But no, it really just depends on who your friends are and the people you surround yourself with. Because I have a lot of crazy friends. I have a lot of normal friends. And then I have a lot of just randos that you just, meet up on the street one day and then you're essentially friends for life. But I'm going to go ahead and switch our diverge conversation because I could get trapped in this one for hours.
Yeah.
To everyone listening, I want to know what you guys feel about technology and conversations. Do you guys think that social interactions are more genuine and authentic when it's a one-on-one, face-to-face conversation? Or do you feel like that you can still maintain that authenticity and genuinity? I can't say the proper word.
Yeah.
Uh, over the internet or over social platforms? Feel free to let me know in the comments or, email me however you feel. And we're going to go ahead and shimmy on over to our last topic for the evening. Our last topic really comes down to everything that we pretty much touched on already, but how effective is technology to stay in touch and strengthen our relationships today. I feel that, like what you were mentioning, there's that Bumble BFF thing, which is super cool. And I know I see, there's new things every day. And I know like Clubhouse is like that new thing that everyone's using, which I am not an Apple user, so I do not utilize Clubhouse. However, like my social medias span from MySpace. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You can still find me at MySpace.
You still use MySpace?
Hell yeah.
I wasn't
Sorry.
in that generation of MySpace, I think. No, I was, but I just wasn't allowed to have it at the time.
feel that.
I utilized MySpace in high school a lot of times, and I still have it. I mean, I still have it active. I never deleted it. But actually, talking about MySpace, like, sorry if I interrupt you about it. It's just that I just remember that last week I went through MySpace because I was going through my old phone, one of those like flip ones that you just flip.
Oh, yeah.
No touchscreen back then. So, and I found my password and my username for my MySpace, and I went in there and I looked at it. I was like, man, I was crazy back in high school. Like all these pictures were friends, and especially when we did like school trips, I found all those pictures. I was like, wow, this is kind of like touchy, and you just want to like don't want to like delete this account because that was my purpose, like going to MySpace, delete the account and just kind of like move on, but when you start looking at the school trips, those family reunions, those friends reunions that you had, especially because I don't do Valentine's, but because my friends were so into Valentine's Day, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go in, But finding all those pictures and those videos, you just kind of like, you don't want to delete this. And trust me, but yeah, I still have my MySpace account active. I mean, I used to use it a lot, really a lot.
Yeah.
See,
no, that's crazy. I was gonna say for me, because I didn't have I wasn't allowed on the internet. So the people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, this girl, she was abused." I feel so sorry. No. I used to have a camera, I think Olympic camera, something like it was like a Olympia, or I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a camera. It's right. That's what it was. And I had this camera, and I would take pictures of everything, and I would put them on like these little cards, like these SD discs or whatever, and then I put them into this like bigger. This huge like chunk of a hard drive or something, and just like put them all on there, or I would burn pictures onto a CD.
Hell yeah, you're old school right there. I like you.
I really I was burning illegal music on there. I was doing everything.
The FCC watches this. It's a joke.
It's gone now. Don't worry. I don't even know how a CD. I don't think they use CDs anymore. But like my dad would always be like, "I want to listen to John Denver on our ride," and I was like, "Yeah, me too." So I would just go like download from like I can't remember the names of these websites. These sketchy. I don't know how I was even allowed on the computer. But yeah, so I used to like put them onto these hard drives, and I still have these hard drives, and they still work, and you can like connect and like see all these like old things. And I'm like, thank God I didn't have social media back then because these are embarrassing. It's just,
I completely. So when I finally got like access to my MySpace again to make sure like everything was like all in place, I was like, wow. I was like, luckily I hid all these pictures. Granted, everyone that I interact with on MySpace now, I don't even know if they're real people. It's all like I only use it for like the music and to like advocate. Believe it or not, I advocate for this podcast on MySpace. And I feel like I got a good chunk of listeners from there, but that's a whole nother topic in itself. But when I think about like, for me in like technology, there's MySpace, and as again when I look at how that's totally lost my train of thought. Let me get back onto where I was at.
Yeah. Sorry, we're just like on a tangent.
No, but you have like Clubhouse and Snapchat, and there's so many different ways you can like meet people and interact with people, and I love that you can do something like that because, again, let's go back to your MSN days, or let's go back to just Club Penguin, where you can literally make friends off these things. And I know people who literally became friends. And like for me, for like video games, I actually have friends who I'm still in touch with, from like playing PlayStation online with these people. So it's like there's so many avenues now where you can have friendships. And, I feel like when social media first started, the reason to have it was because you want to stay in touch with these people who are so far away, because it will help build relationships and strengthen your relationships that you have. And if you want to strengthen, new ones, you can start new ones. And I feel like that's what social media is advertised as. I feel that that's not so much how it is anymore, because I think that people stopped trying to make friends, and I feel like people stopped going outside of their comfort zone to meet other people with different ideas and different values, because we want to be surrounded by people who either relate to us 100%, or people that have one point of view and you also believe in that point of view. So that's like who you'd be surrounded by. Where nowadays, I like bringing politics into this, because I don't like discussing politics, but I like using politics as a reference, because politics really separates people, whether you're a party system kind of guy, if you are a value traditional, like a conservative, liberal, or socialist, however you identify yourself. I feel like that's like the biggest way I love to look at it, because when I see technology and I see communication in groups, people can easily remove this person, or people can easily, kick this person, or you can always manage who is in these circles and who is not. So to me, when I see stuff like that, I always see communication as being, or the internet being, a barrier again to having conversations. So what are your guys' views when it comes to technology or social media being either a bridge, or do you see it more as a obstacle in communication and friendships, relationships?
For me, honestly, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I feel like reaching out to someone on social media can be a little bit intimidating, because when you're seeing the best version of someone, it's very hard to feel like, oh, this person could have anxiety, or this person could have. I have so many people that have reached out to me before, like just like followed me from something, and then they're like, oh my God, like I didn't know, because I do have like a lot of it's like a whole other topic, a lot of social anxiety newly, which is something weird. I think I never had it in undergrad. It's like something I think has happened during the pandemic or whatever. So it's like, oh, like if I'd cancel on them, or, you really don't like, because, oh, I'm so anxious today, I don't really feel like I want to go out, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would be like, oh, wow, I wouldn't expect, like no one really says it, like talks about it a lot, but I'm really open about like anxiety or like mental health and things like that. So I think it's like pretty important. And when someone, like I said, is showing their best self, it's so hard, I think, to connect with that person unless the person is willing to like break down this like image a little bit, and just, be like, well, this is who I am, and if you like it or you don't like it, stuff like that. So it really just depends on how the person is receiving the input, in my opinion. I think it should be a bridge. I don't think it should be an obstacle, but it can be if people are misusing, or just, like, oh, I want to look perfect, or I want to be perfect, or, people who edit their photos or do stuff like that to like,
Yeah.
it could, that's just, there's so many things there is a facade sometimes people, but for me, for example, my Instagram, I have like 300 followers. I don't know, I'm not trying to impress anyone. So I have 300 followers. There's nothing there. So it's like I'm super open about who I am as a person, or like what I'm expecting from other people when they reach out to me. So, or if I reach out to them, you know what I mean? So it really, yeah, it just depends on how you are as a person, and who the person that's reaching out to you, and how they want to like build this friendship.
Right. Okay. Luai, what about you?
Well, I feel that social media and technology can be a bridge, especially if you want. I mean, for those who are adding that they want to be part of your group, and they're adding you, or they start talking to you. Like, for example, me, I posted things on Instagram and Facebook because I used to work at the airport. So I want to show people, like, okay, so this is me when I'm working. Like when I'm working, I'm like professional. Like I don't joke around. And if I joke around, would be like during my break times. So I want to have like I wanted those people, the new people that come in, that see, okay, so this person is taking his job serious, but when he's not around or when he's not working, he's like super chatty and stuff like that. And especially because when I work at the hospital, like things could change because you're dealing with somebody's life, like especially like, okay, so you're not wanting to have this procedure because it isn't that, but I use social media as a bridge for people to get to know me. Like, okay, so this is how I am during work hours. This is how I am outside of work. Some people don't use it that way because, like Raymond said, there's a lot of pictures that they edit in a lot, and you don't really get to know that person like how they really are. But for me, yeah, I mean, I'm open to anything, but I just like use social media as a bridge to get to me so they can know how I am outside and inside of work.
Yeah, and I totally respect both of those answers. Excuse me. And it actually, I want to ask you guys this because both of you mentioned, this putting on a front. Because again, when I always go back to, I love comparing the situations because in person, you can you can see a person presenting themselves, but then in a one-on-one setting, they're a completely different person sometimes. You get that same reaction sometimes in social media. I feel like we're in a society today where social media has become this it's this poorly displayed, you have to be a perfect human being. Where you can see that someone isn't perfect in real life compared to what you see them on social media. But sometimes the way they present themselves, and then if you were to meet that same exact person in real life, they're a completely different person. Do you guys feel like perception of a person based off of appearance alone is different technology wise compared to perception of a person in person, or do you feel like that they're the exact same thing, just different platforms? I know that was a doozy, isn't it?
No, it's actually really interesting because I think girls in general we worry about that a lot. I don't know about guys, but with females, it's just like because there are like personally, I don't use filters because I think they can really like change the way I see myself, and I don't want that negative. I don't want to be like, oh my god, well, wow, my nose looks so snatched in this filter, and then in person. Well, I'm Middle Eastern, so like I ask most Middle Eastern girls have said they wanted a nose job at least once in their life, so it's such a common thing. Being half Lebanese, I can't tell you how many of us have had nose jobs. So I'm just saying, like, I think because you get to pick your best angle, you take 25, 30 pictures and you pick the best one out of all of those. And that's the one that you're putting online. So it's like very hard to match up to that. Or if somebody, especially like, I feel like girls as us, like we know, oh, she's not going to look exactly like that. So you're kind of expecting that she's going to look different. You're going to see her pores. You're going to see, smudges of mascara sometimes, or just, skin texture, which is completely normal. It's just weird when like a guy will meet you, for example, and then it's like, oh, well, you don't look like your photos like that. Nobody's ever told me that. Thank God, but I would probably die. but it happens, so it's like, it's really just an expectation. And again, it's like if someone is using filters though all the time, you can kind of tell though if someone's using a filter. I've been surprised, like there would be people who would say no, I couldn't tell, but I'm like, well, like it's a personal choice, it's self-expression. So you can use a filter, of course, if you want to, but if you're going to meet someone in person, maybe have them like, I don't know, like maybe FaceTime them before you meet them or something. I feel like that makes a world of a difference. But it doesn't really matter. I think, in my opinion, like appearance is just such a small factor of it. So I wouldn't impede like a friendship just because she's got pores or he looks shorter in real life or something,
Damn those pores.
It's a problem. It's such a problem.
How about you, Luai? Do you feel that perception is different social media wise compared to perception in real life?
Well, I wanna like mention something that Rima said is
Mhm.
that I mean, so let's start like I'm a huge complimenter type of person, you know? Like if I
Aw.
see you, whether it's in pictures or in real life or like or you're like you're a coworker of mine. If I especially when it comes to girls, I don't do compliments on guys because they don't take it as well. They don't. They're like, okay, dude, you're super weird. You know, don't compliment me. I'm like, okay, fine. But
Aw.
girls, I do a lot of complimenting, especially because you don't know how long they spend in like putting up makeup, putting up their hair, you know? So when
I
you
like
see
that.
them walking by, you feel like you see them, it's like, oh, that only took you like 10 minutes. No, they, especially, well, okay, let me tell you one story, sorry. So I was working with one of my coworkers. Um, she used to work as a patient access representative, so technically scheduling patients. So you always see her with this bright and smile, like super nice makeup and everything, like nice hair. And I never approached to her because she looks like don't even get close to me, you know. So, but one day I broke that heel and I was like, okay, so I want to ask you something. Don't take it the wrong way. Just like what? What is it? So they're like, how long does it take you to do all your like all that makeup and everything? And I go, don't get me the wrong way. She's like, and she looked at me and she's like, nobody has ever asked me that before. But let me
Wow.
tell you, for instance, you're interested, like it takes me at least 2 hours to get all this. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Well, let me tell you, you look gorgeous. Like, trust me, you
Damn.
look gorgeous.
Damn. All right,
And
Lulai.
sorry, but yeah, like I honestly like I do a lot of complimenting, especially with girls, you know, because like I mentioned, you don't know how long did they take to get ready to get from point A to point B, you know. So yeah, like I'm a huge complimenter though, but in social media things could change because like Rima said, like there's these pictures that people do a lot of filter, a lot of editing, and when you meet them in real life, I'm like, okay, what's going on to this with this, and you know, so it's
Mhm.
okay to do a little bit of filtering. Sorry, it's okay if you do a little like filter, like a little touches on yourself, but just don't do it like don't overdo it, you know, because you want to show what you really look like when you meet that person.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one of the things, like, I always find that there is always a good, boundary to the extent of how to express yourself. And I mean, again, I'm not a perfect human being. I have some crazy pictures out there, and I have some like really just normal pictures. But I like to give myself, I present myself to my on social media as I present myself in real life. Maybe a little crazier, but at the at the same time, I want to make sure that if someone were to meet me in person, they'd be like, "Wow, you literally get exactly what you see," because I
Yeah.
love people knowing who I am, and that's one of the things that I've noticed. It changes because we all have this. I don't know, this idea of how people should view us or how we feel that we want to be viewed by other people, which I mean, to each their own. I'm not going to tell you how to, express yourself or how to say what's right and what's wrong. But I just think that there's always this fine line between too much and then just I don't know. It's a complex thing, but aside from that, I do feel that communication should be or communication. I feel that social media or any platform outside of a one-on-one interaction can be a good bridge to relationships and to communication, but it also just depends on how you choose to use it and how you go about it because it can take a bad turn, it can take a good turn. How you choose to interact on, online or any social media platform and how you choose to interact around certain groups of people really just depends on how you decide to be. But for me, I always like to be, if I'm going to give you me or my opinions or anything, I'll talk to you and I'll have a discussion with you. Don't shut down a discussion just because you don't agree with something. I feel you should take that and take it and try to make it something constructive, because there's so many different perspectives out there, so many different point of views, so many different stories. And that's one of the things, I loved about having each of you on here, because you're two different people. We all come from different areas, different backgrounds, and we all have, again, we have some similar ideas and we have some different beliefs, but at the same time, we manage to have a solid relationship and communicate with each other. And look, now we're here chatting it up. I'm now going to go to Oregon one day and sing karaoke, and I'm now going to go get coffee with Rima and
In
pretend to drink
DC.
coffee because I don't like coffee. But hence tea time with a lot of people. Drink tea. Everyone just drink tea.
Yeah, side note, the iced guava black tea at Starbucks is really good. If you guys want to try something like good tea, it's awesome.
Oh, see, she says tea, and I'm already attracted. I'm good.
The iced
tip.
guava black tea, it's amazing. It's really, really good.
For all other Starbucks inquiries and how to live the Amish lifestyle, please follow Rima. She's your girl.
Amish lifestyle. Not allowed to have Instagram till I was in I think I was grade 12. I was right before I left to college.
Man. Now, was that your dad's doing, or was that your...
That was my dad's doing. It wasn't my choice.
I respect you. I respect your father. So, final comments, questions, concerns from either of you two. Do you guys have any final notes that you would like to leave with our listeners today? Don't hurt yourself.
I really want to know how many people are watching these things. That's really
Right, I was asking that
You
to
don't-
myself.
Yeah,
have
what
to- you don't have to worry
countries mainly are
Whoa,
watching
oh, you know
us?
what? So I always
I mean,
do my countries. I always do my country shout outs
Yeah,
in the beginning, but I'll go ahead and go back because, hold on.
yeah.
I love-
Please
I
do.
love-
I'm so interested.
So, I have listeners. I don't know about viewers 100%. I mean, you can see how many. I think I just got on YouTube. So, YouTube is still fairly fresh. As for listeners, though, I have a good chunk of listeners, which I love all of you for listening, and I hope you guys continue to listen. And as always, please continue to share with your friends, families, cats, brothers, and sisters. I love having, people on the show and please just talk to me. I love to hear your input. But listeners, get ready for this. We have, of course, the United States. 7% of my listeners comes from France. And there's a lot of cities in France, so I respect the French. We have Canada, Russia. I don't know where in Russia. They don't give me my analytics from Russia. From this beautiful island of Antigua and Barbuda. I have some listeners in Palestine. Shout out to Palestine. We have the United Kingdom, Germany, Taiwan, Netherlands, New Zealand, Switzerland, Belgium, Japan, and Yemen is
Wow.
the countries worldwide that we, expand to. And statewide, there's a good handful of states. I think I'm almost at 25 out of the 50 states, which
25
makes-
out of 50.
I am very content with that. So I'm telling you, France throws me for a hoof every time.
Yes,
So-
bonjour mes amis in France.
Look at that. Ooh la la. Everybody, she speaks French.
Ouh,
What do you
Rima,
mean,
est-ce que tu parles français?
Oui, je parle
Ouh,
français.
c'est bon, c'est bon.
Non, je parle français, mais un petit peu, parce que maman est libanaise. So, j'étudie français à l'école.
Gotcha. Well, I don't understand much, but I can understand.
Oh, okay. I thought you could speak.
Oh, no. Okay, Rima, it's been a long time.
Oh, okay.
When I was in high school, so I lost practice because I don't really practice it. But if I find somebody that I can practice my French, trust me, in a week or two, bam.
Yeah,
I'm
pratiquez avec moi, and you can take my Instagram.
Oh,
come to
perfect.
me.
See,
Hey, a lot of
just look at that.
how
Building friendships.
technology can be a bridge.
Yeah, you gotta hop
No,
in San
seriously,
Francisco.
I do want to practice my French. It's been a while though.
Yeah, no problem.
What other language do you speak?
Arabic and French and English. That's it.
Oh, my Arabic is really, really, really poor. Because
okay.
I learned, especially my Arabic was, I learned it from my Saudi Arabian students, because I used to go to the mosque with them a lot of times. So whenever they speak in Arabic, they're like, okay, they interpreting, but at the same time they were teaching me. But I never got the chance to actually like talk, and I was like, yeah, it's getting rusty though. So but
Yeah.
Get yourself a new tutor. Make sure she teaches you Falahi dialect and not Lebanese.
I don't know how to speak Falahi.
Well, then don't go to her. I got the people who can get you Falahi. for all my Arab out there, it's Che. I
Che.
support the Che. All right.
Okay, awesome.
So, any final send-offs for everyone?
Thank you for watching. I always wanted to say that. I feel so famous
Great
now.
job. You can see her on the Rima show every Monday and Friday, 7 to 8, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, and Ramadan Kareem to everyone, because I'm sure this is
Ramadan
going to be
Kareem.
coming out.
That's true, yes. Luai, any final words and wishes to everyone?
my wishes are thanks everyone for watching. It's been a great experience talking to Rima and Aladdin. It's been really enjoyable conversation that we had, and I hope that I hope the viewers like it as well.
Yeah.
I hope so too. And I would like to thank both of you for taking time out of your day. It's been a hell of a time planning this because we are both, all three of us, super busy people.
Yes.
And again, I appreciate you again for joining me. And see, ladies and gentlemen, perfect example of worldwide friendships coming together through social media. It can't happen. Build the bridge, just like the one that's sitting behind Luaya currently. So, on that note, I would like to thank you all for joining in and listening. I am going to shimmy off of the conversating and bring you on to our musical guests. Unfortunately, they will not be here to interview with me because I am so busy and I have an exam next week. So I will be putting their music on here as they had allowed me to do so, and you guys will enjoy the musical song of the day. So sit back, relax, prep your ears for the beautiful sounds, and I will see you shortly. And for the best part of the show, the only reason why you guys truly watch or listen to Tea Time with Aladdin is to talk about music. And today's musical song of the day choice goes out to one of the best bands you could possibly listen to all the way out of Cincinnati, Ohio, Harbor, the band. Now, you guys can go ahead and find them on all their social media websites, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere you could possibly think of. I will put in the description of the show, but most importantly, the reason why you guys need to listen to Harbor. So, as always, I stumble upon Harbor through Spotify, and you always have that song stuck in your head. Well, their music is what got stuck in my head. Now, Harbor the band consists of 5 wonderful fellows who gave me the opportunity to share their music with all of you today. So, we've been in a rut, as a society. COVID is nonsense. We hate it. It's been winter. It's cold. If you want to get a little taste of summertime, listen to Harbor's music. And specifically, the song of the day for today is Oh No. And I'm just going to let you guys listen to it before I get any more excited for you. So please listen to your new favorite band, Harbor, Oh No.
See her, I wouldn't marry me either. She'd be perfectly fine on her own. Me on the other hand, girl, I need you. Oh no, oh no, no, oh no, oh no, no, oh no, oh no, no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, no, oh no, oh no. Take me home tonight, 'cause I wanna be
doesn't it just make you feel like summertime? It's been crazy. If you need motivation in the morning when you're getting out of bed or walking down to your basement to your office to work right now, listen to Harbor. If you have to go to work and you're super sad about it, put on some Harbor. They'll cheer you up. If you have to wake up and you dread the fact that you're even awake and not sleeping in on your Saturday because you have to study or because you have to go to work on the weekend because they abuse our work ethic now, and you have to wake up and take that morning poop, do it listening to Harbor. Sunshine, warmth, forget the winter, forget the rain. Enjoy the summertime feels of Harbor's music. Now, Oh No literally got me jumping, but if you guys want to listen to more of their music, check them out on Spotify. Check them out on Apple Music, literally iTunes. Anywhere you can find music, you can find their music. They have 3 albums. Their latest release of their song was 2020 in November of 2020. Fancy what you did there, fellas. And let the addiction begin. They've been around for a while, and their music just gets better and better. And they announced on their social media, which again will be in the description, that they're working on some new music. Which means, in a time like this, where music has been on technology and they're slowly coming to, potentially opening up that venue again, excuse me, you might have a chance to go see Harbor live in person, and hopefully during the summertime. And if you have the opportunity, take it, because if I get that chance, I'm going to do it. So Harbor, thank you again for letting me share your music with everyone, and I hope everyone listening to the show or watching the show enjoys it just as much as I do. And again, thank you for letting me share it. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for watching the show. It's a pleasure having you watch and a pleasure to hear your input. Please feel free to continue to share the show with everyone. Let them listen to good music, listen to me talk for hours. I don't know why you do it, but I know you guys enjoy it. Friends, family, you can find me on social media as well. All my social media will be in a link on my link tree, in the description. If I can get fancy, I'll put it in the little, right there. And outside of that, have a great day, guys. Stay positive, stay happy. Don't let COVID bring you down. Don't get sick. Don't touch anyone, because you know why.